केश परन्तपः न योत्स्य इति गोविन्दम् योक्त्वा तुष्णीं बभूवः. Somebody would like to try? Sanjaya Uvacha Evam Yukva Rishikesham Gudakesha Parantapa Na Yotsya iti Govinda Yuktva Tushnim Babuvaha. Sanjaya Uvacha Evam Yukva Rishikesham Gudakesha Parantapaha Na Yotsya iti Govinda Yuktva Tushnim Babuvaha. Sanjaya Uvacha Evam Yukva Rishikesham Gudakesha Parantapaha Na Yotsya iti Govinda Yuktva Tushnim Babuvaha. Natiji, mothers, everybody would like to try. Sanjaya Uvacha Evam Yukva Rishikesham Gudakesha Parantapa Na Yotsya iti Govinda Yuktva Tushnim Babuvaha. Sanjaya Uvacha Evam Yukva Rishikesham Gudakesha Parantapa Na Yotsya iti Govindam Yuktva Tushnim Babuvaha. Sanjaya Uvacha Sanjaya said Evam thus Yuktva speaking Rishikesham unto Krishna the master of the senses Gudakeshaha Arjuna the master of curving ignorance Parantapaha the chastiser of the enemy Na Yotsya I shall not fight. Iti thus Govinda unto Krishna the giver of pleasure to the senses Yuktva saying Tushnim silent Babuvaha became Ha certainly. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjun, chastiser of the enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. Purport. Dhritarashtra must have been very glad to understand that Arjun was not going to fight and instead leaving the battlefield for the begging profession. But Sanjaya disappointed him again in relating that Arjun was competent to kill his enemies, Parantapaha. Although Arjun was for the time being overwhelmed with false grief due to his family affection, he surrendered unto Krishna, the Supreme Master, as a disciple. This indicated that he would soon be free from the false levitation resulting from family affection and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self-realization or Krishna consciousness, and would then surely fight. Thus, Dhritarashtra's joy would be frustrated since Arjun would be enlightened by Krishna and would fight till the end. Fight till the end. Om Agnanitirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vikantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanai Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you so much. With the permission of all the seniors and all the assembled devotees, we will discuss this most beautiful shloka in Bhagavad Gita. These are some of my favorite shlokas in Bhagavad Gita. Of course, all shlokas are beautiful. Mango from wherever you eat, from top, bottom, side, sideways, it's sweet everywhere. But these shlokas, similarly, Bhagavad Gita is like a very sweet mango. From wherever you eat it, it's going to taste very sweet. So this shloka 2.9 and 2.10 are one of my very, very favorite shlokas. And there is a particular reason why I relate to these shlokas very closely and intimately. It's because this is like a pause shloka. You understand? So, up to now, the whole of first chapter to up to now, Arjuna was speaking. And he was continuously speaking. You know, we need to understand the state of Arjuna. The state of Arjuna by today's standards was an extreme state of clinical depression. He was completely depressed. His hairs were standing on end, he was sweating, tears were coming from his eyes, he could not hold his Gandiva, he couldn't stand, he was completely down and depressed. And out of sheer depression, which is born out of attachment for his family members, he went on and on and on and on and on in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita to convince Krishna why he should not fight the war. So interesting. It's very interesting. Why? Because Arjuna is choosing shlokas or choosing principles from Vedas, quoting principles from Vedas to Krishna to convince Krishna so that he cannot fight. Very interesting, right? Krishna later on in Bhagavad Gita mentions Vedesha Sarver Aham Eva Vedyo Vedanta Krit Veda Evacham. I am to be known from Vedas, I am Vedas personified, I am the compiler of Vedas. And Arjuna using what? Krishna's own words in the scriptures to convince Krishna. Very interesting. And the most interesting thing is after he went on and on and on and on and on, the most beautiful thing here is Krishna does not interrupt Arjuna. Silently hearing Arjuna. Patiently hearing Arjuna. So beautiful. And when Arjuna says, "Hey Govinda, I shall not fight." And the word that is used here is tusnim. Everybody must write this word and keep it in your listening. Tusnim. Tusnim means becomes silent. Becomes silent. Sometimes in this very noisy world that we live in, we don't know what silence means. Right? Do we know? We don't know. We have to go to some forest, some province. So I had gone to some very beautiful falls. I keep forgetting the pronunciation of those names. Very beautiful, very serene. And it was very beautiful. Why? Because it was silent. We have forgotten the art of silence, and this silence is so beautiful here in Bhagavad Gita. And 2.10, again it is mentioned, Krishna does not speak. So 2.9 and 2.10 is like a pause. Arjun has stopped speaking and Krishna is smiling. Such a beautiful pause. Can you imagine? Because before this Arjun was speaking, and after 2.10 Krishna is going to start speaking. But these two shlokas, nobody is speaking. Arjun is silent, Tushnim as it mentioned here. And next shloka mentions Krishna is smiling. Such a beautiful. So today we will try and understand the silence of Arjun and the silence of Krishna. Because silence is so important. We feel many a times that speaking is important. If you don't speak, how will you convince people? If you don't speak, how will you argue? You can ask a lawyer. Any lawyers here? Oh, she's a lawyer. She has to speak to earn a living, right? Speaking it's an important art, it's a skill. You must speak. Of course, please understand, I'm not saying you should not speak, otherwise I should not be speaking also. But the art of silence is extremely important. That if the art of silence is practiced, then our speaking will have a lot of value. Otherwise it will be like empty bullets. You take a gun, you take empty bullets and you ta 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 ta. It sounds like a bullet, but does it create any wound? No. That's why here the pause of Arjun and the pause of Krishna in silence is what we are going to discuss today. So first let's understand Krishna's silence. Krishna, our Lord, is standing here in a very simple form, a three-bended form, holding the flute. Looks very simple, no? Very simple. Actually, he's most mysterious. Completely mysterious. And what is the mysterious thing? Actually, because Krishna is so mysterious, that's why so lovable. You sometimes don't love things that the mystery is resolved. Do you like those things? No. When someone is mysterious, you want to love him more and more. Because he's very mysterious. That's why our Krishna, our beloved Radha Madhava, are very, very mysterious. And the most mysterious aspect of Krishna's personality, we had last time when I was here, we had discussed the mysterious smile of Krishna. And today we are going to discuss the mysterious silence of Krishna. In this context, Krishna is silent and so is Arjuna. Now why is Krishna silent? What is happening to Krishna when Arjuna is speaking all of this? Actually very interesting thing. When Krishna is speaking, 4 personalities are hearing this. Right? When Arjuna is speaking at this moment, 4 people. Who are the 4 people hearing Bhagavad Gita at this junction? Dhritarashtra, Sanjaya, Krishna and Arjuna. Correct, very simple. Now, all 4 of them have some unique reactions to the same hearing of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna's depression is Dhritarashtra's happiness. Can you believe it? Arjuna is saying, I will not fight. And who is feeling happy because of that? That's why Prabhupada is mentioning here, first line, Dhritarashtra must have been very glad to understand that Arjuna was not going to fight. Can you imagine? This is the difference between a noble person and a not so noble person. Noble person is paradukha dukhi. That's called nobility. Nobility means if somebody is sad when somebody else is sad, he's a noble person. He's a devotee. He's paradukha. Para means somebody who does not belong to us. We are always dukhi when somebody of our own feels bad or own feels suffering. But para means, the word para in Sanskrit means somebody who is not our relative. And if you feel pain for that person, you are a noble person. You are a Vaishnava. Vaishnava jana tene kahiye peed parai jane. There's a very beautiful song by one of the saints in India that one who is called a Vaishnava who sees other person's pain as his own. But here we see Dhritarashtra, what is his mood? Para dukha sukhi. He is happy in seeing Arjun's misery. It's so sad. Arjun's emotion state is he is miserable. right? But Sanjaya's state is extremely beautiful. Prabhupada describes that in the purport so beautifully. That Sanjaya is very, very intelligent. He's sad to see the state of Arjun, and he also notices the happiness of Dhritarashtra. So he is a great, great diplomat. He uses and chooses words so beautifully. He says two words, Risikesha and Gudakesha. This is to hint to Dhritarashtra. He's saying, Dhritarashtra, don't be very happy. Your happiness is short-lived. Why? Because Arjuna is who? Gudakesha. Gudakesha is one who conquers ignorance. And Risikesha is Krishna who conquers the senses. When these two meet, there cannot be lamentation for long, my dear Sanjay. Dhritarashtra, do not be happy for a long time. Sanjay is playing the most beautiful diplomat situation. Very kindly and gently he is advising Dhritarashtra. And here Krishna, what is happening to Krishna? What would happen to us if somebody goes on and on and on about their state of mind where they are very depressed? What would happen? Anybody? What would happen to us? Most of us will get bored. Okay, come to the point. What do you want to say? Right? Okay, if somebody is very close, we'll feel bad. We'll also start crying with that person. Right? Sometimes if the relationship is too close and the person is crying, we also will start crying. But here, it's very beautiful. Arjun is not, Krishna is not crying and he's not even indifferent. He's not like, okay, Arjun, okay, finish, job over. Can you start the fight? No. Krishna is patiently and empathetically hearing. Now, the most important thing to learn from Krishna's this silence is, of course, after this he smiles. Now, that's also very interesting. Now, somebody smiles means what? If somebody is sad and you smile, what does it appear? You are smiling on my grief, misery? Yeah. But here, actually, Krishna, it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, he is giving half a smile. That smile description is given that he gives half a smile means he is giving a smile of assurance. Just like if a patient goes to a doctor and says, I have this disease, I have that disease, that this is paining, that is paining. If the doctor becomes very serious, what will happen to the patient? He gets scared. And if the doctor becomes very nervous, oh my God, your stomach is paining, your legs are paining, your head is paining, everything is paining. Oh no, what to do? If the doctor becomes panicky, what will happen to us? If the doctor is panicking, we'll also panic. My God, something serious is happening. Right? But here the doctor, Krishna, is giving a half a smile. Half a smile, do you know half a smile? Just a smile. Which is the smile of assurance. Exactly how a doctor would give, don't worry, Papa. It's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. That is the smile Krishna gives. And the entire silence of Krishna is actually, there are waves of emotions rising in Krishna's heart out of his love for Arjuna. While Arjuna is speaking this way. Waves of emotion. He's containing it. Because, and that's why in Bhagavad Gita it says, my dear Arjuna, I'm revealing this knowledge to you. Why? Because you are my very dear friend. You are my own. You are Swajana. You are mine. So at this point of time, the silence of Krishna is nothing but a churning of an ocean. And that churning that was happening at this point of time results in, after 2.10, the dam opening and the flood of knowledge flowing. So beautiful. Right? The second thing Krishna is teaching us is, the silence of Krishna is teaching us, is the art of hearing. Most of the time, especially I know in India, I'm not sure here, but whenever somebody comes with us with some problems, especially we've been in devotional service for some time, so many of us, many devotees come here, I have this problem, that problem, and we are absolutely ready with many answers. Do this, do this, do this, do this, and your problem will be solved. We are very eager to speak and solve the problems. But here Krishna is saying, no, the first way to teach somebody is not by speaking. Amazing, isn't it? Many times we want to teach, and the only way we know how to teach is by speaking. And Krishna is saying the best way to teach is by Hearing. He must hear. And Krishna so beautifully and emphatically is hearing Arjun, feeling his pain. And after feeling that pain, gives a very smile. There's a very beautiful reason also why Krishna smiles here. Actually, Krishna throughout Bhagavad Gita takes various roles in his relationship with Arjun. We'll see up to now, later on, maybe if I come back next, we can discuss more. What are the different roles Krishna takes? The first role that Krishna takes in Bhagavad Gita in the first chapter, where Arjun tells Krishna, Krishna, go in the middle of the battlefield. I want to see my family. I want to see the army. So what role does Krishna take at this point of time? Charioteer. Okay, boss. Okay, sir. I'm your driver. You're telling me to go there? I will go there. Goes and goes over that point. Goes to the center. The second role Krishna takes here is basically when Arjun starts lamenting this way, 2.1 onwards, before 2.6, he becomes comrade, becomes a friend of Krishna. That's the old relationship he has with Arjun, right? He's like, come on Arjun, this doesn't suit you. I mean, you're talking this way. Do you know who you are? You are Pritha. See your dynasty. How can you talk like this? He becomes a comrade, a friend. He gives an inspirational talk. First listens, then inspires. Inspires Arjun. And after that, he becomes the third role, which is after this shloka. When Arjun says, okay, I give up. He gives up two things. One thing, he gives up to fight. He also gives up his arguments, his opinions. He gives that up. He says, Krishna, please instruct me. The third role that Krishna takes is that of a counselor, guru. So from first is charioteer, then comrade, like a friend. Fourth is guru, counselor. Actually very beautiful. At the end, Krishna becomes that most intimate companion of Arjuna. So here, once he becomes a counselor, he takes up a different role, and that's why he smiles. This is the beauty of Krishna's silence. Now let's discuss Arjun's silence. Now here it is mentioned Arjuna has become tusnim, silent. Now, why is this tusnim extremely important? Because two things are extremely important if you want to start our spiritual life. The first thing that is important to start our spiritual life is tusnim. We have to become silent. What does it mean silent? Silent doesn't mean we become Omni Babas and just I will write only on the paper, I will not speak. No. Silent to our own opinions, arguments, judgments that we have preconceived in our mind. We have to just silence all of them. This is the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. 2.10 onwards, Bhagavad Gita really starts, because before this it was Arjun Gita. It was not Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavan was not speaking, Arjun was speaking. But at this point of junction, when Arjun speaks, the first qualification is we must silence our mind. Because a mind which is full of opinions, Arjun was full of opinions. That is not right, this will happen, that will happen, this will happen, this will happen. And then he says, okay. And Krishna just watches it. He becomes silent. The first qualification for a disciple, or first qualification of a spiritualist, he must silence his thoughts, his random thoughts, his opinionated thoughts. It's so difficult to do this. Do you know that? Do we know that? Just go into social media. There are many types of pollution in this world. What are the different types of pollution that we have? Air pollution. Okay. Water pollution. Noise pollution. What else? Visual pollution. Who said that? Very nice. Visual pollution. What else? Internet pollution. Actually, Prabhuji is absolutely right. Ether pollution. Ether, that we know earth, fire, air, ether. We have 5 elements of nature. Now we have engaged, we have spoiled all 4. Earth we have spoiled, fire we have spoiled, this we have spoiled, everything. Now we are spoiling the ether. How are we having ether pollution? By opinions. All these sounds that we are speaking is just hanging around in the ether. It is called ethereal pollution. Social media is nothing but ether. Everybody is speaking their mind. No, I am right, this is right, I am right, this is right, you are right, you are wrong. All debates, you see political debates, right? You see spiritual debates, even spiritualists are debating on different topics. It's just opinions. And what Krishna is teaching here is extremely important. Until and unless you stop opinionating, the truth will never be revealed. In the absence of truth, there are only opinions. This is exactly the state where Arjun was in. Arjun was filled with opinions in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, stop your opinions. Till the time you don't stop your opinions, truth will not be heard. In fact, many times later on in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna uses one very interesting word. He says, Mama Mataha, Mama Mataha, Mama Mataha. He keeps on saying. What is Mama Mataha means? This is my opinion. Our opinion is relative. Krishna's opinion is the absolute truth. He said, this is my opinion, Arjun. You gave all your opinions, but now you're my opinion. This is what is good for you. So beautiful. We have so much of this noise pollution. Spirituality starts when you silence our mind, silence our opinion, silence our speech. That's why a very beautiful book by Rupa Goswami, Bhakti Upadeshamrita, talks about first thing that you must control. Vacho vegam manasa vegam jiva vegam udara prastha vegam. Vacho vega means control the speech. Vega, very interesting word in Sanskrit. Vega means itch, urge. You know urge? It's like if there's a scratch that will come to me right now in the middle of Bhagavad Gita class and still feel like scratching. I won't be able to stop it. That's called Vega. Vega means uncontrollable. I cannot, there's a difference between desires and Vega. Desire means, okay, I want to be Bill Gates. No problem. After 10 years, 20 years. So desire is very postponed. But Vega is, right now I have to fulfill the desire. That's called Vega. And our spiritual path talks about first thing that we must control is Vacho Vegam. Our desire to speak, our desire to opinionate. It's like an itch. You must control that. You must silence it. This is what Krishna is also saying. Once Arjun decided to silence his opinion, so beautifully Krishna starts speaking. So the science is, when I was a small boy, actually I very fondly remember that my real spiritual life started when I heard one quote from Bible. Very beautiful. It's amazing. It was in a diary, these calendar diaries that come. I don't know whether it comes in Philippines. In India, there are diaries with quotes on every page. And there was this one quote that was written over there. It was written, even the deaf can hear the voice of the Lord. Even the deaf who cannot hear can hear the voice of the Lord. But, if you cannot hear the voice of the Lord, that means you are, even though you can listen, you are deaf. And why can't we hear the voice of the Lord? Who wants to hear the voice of the Lord? Actually, my entire journey of spiritual life started with just one desire. After hearing that quote, it was just one desire. I want to hear how the Lord sounds. And that's how I came to know Bhagavad Gita. Okay, now I know what the Lord is speaking. Right? So beautiful. So if you want to not be deaf, we must be silent, and only in the moments of silence will we hear the voice of the Lord from within our heart. If you really want to know, and that's why many circumstances are put in front of us where we have a very strong desire to speak. One of the circumstances that is put in front of us is when somebody humiliates us. Yes? What happens? If somebody looks at me and says, oh Sachin, you have become very fat. And you're ugly. You're not even dressed properly. What will be my natural reaction? I'll tell you what my natural reaction is. You don't have to guess. I'll guess. My natural reaction will be to slap that person. We will not even speak. It is like slap that person. Right? The first situation in life when you are provoked, you must remain silent. You know why? Vacho Vegam, why we must remain silent? Because in our spontaneity, in our impulsive attitude, we will not respond, we will react. And that will break relationship. In fact, the strongest part of the body. Which is the strongest part of the body? Tongue. It is the softest but yet the strongest. Why? Because the tongue can break a relationship or make a relationship. Tongue can break a heart or not break a heart. Hence, vacho vegam, control, remain silent. When you are provoked, remain silent. Why? Because when you remain silent, the Lord within your heart tells you what to do next. Second reason, situations when we must remain silent is when we go in front of a senior person. When somebody is like a guru or a senior or a mentor or a counselor, somebody who is very senior to you, is very learned, you must remain silent. You must not try to show off. I know somebody. There was once very beautiful Buddhist tale which says that there was once a person came to Lord Buddha and he told Lord Buddha, actually I am just about to get Bodhisattva. Just one thing is missing. I want you to teach me that. He said, Acha, please explain. So I've done this. Only one piece of Buddha will you teach me, then I will become Bodhisattva. Say, okay, sure. Just go to the pond with a pot full of water and fill more water in it. He's confused. Okay, I'll try if you tell me. I said, this is the only, if you do this, then you will become Bodhisattva. He goes with a pot full of water inside a pond and tries to fill it. It doesn't fill. He says, this is impossible, I can't fill this pot. So how can I fill this pot? You have to empty it. Oh, okay, I'll empty it. He empties it and then fills the pot. He says, what did you learn from this? He said, I learned from this. And then of course Lord Buddha teaches him that we have to first unlearn if you want to learn. We cannot go to a superior guru or a highly elevated, exalted personality and start teaching our stuff. We have to remain silent. There is a second situation where we must remain silent. In fact, very beautiful story on the first part, getting provoked. Again, Lord Buddha's story. There was a dacoit on the road in the jungles, and Lord Buddha was passing by that location. And he started, when he saw Lord Buddha, he got so irritated with him. He started blaspheming Lord Buddha. You are useless, you are good for nothing, you don't do anything. You have no this thing, no that thing. And Lord Buddha was calm and silent, very patient. And one of Lord Buddha's disciples was getting very agitated. He said, oh Buddha, he was giving you so many blasphemies. Why are you not getting agitated? He said, he was giving me, but I was not taking it. If somebody gives you a gift which you don't like, what do? You don't take it. Simple. He was abusing me. I didn't take it. Simple. This is the power of silence. When you choose silence in such situations, then you can do much more stronger things than what you can do by your speech. But of course, there are situations where we must not be silent. When again you approach a guru, what should you do? What should you speak? The only thing I should speak is what Arjun did here. Oh Krishna, please instruct me. In Bhagavad Gita, this is what Krishna tells. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. When you approach a guru, when you approach a highly learned, exalted soul, what must we do? We must submissively inquire. This is the best way to utilize our tongue. By two things Prabhupada mentions, we will end with this. Two things Prabhupada explains to us. If you do not control your tongue, if you do not remain silent, in fact Prabhupada mentions that silence is a symptom of a devotee. He is gambhira, he is grave. He doesn't emote too much, he doesn't show his emotion too easily, through speech especially. In fact, Krishna mentions in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that somebody who's mauni, who's very silent and grave, who's very thoughtful about me, is very dear to me. The only two conditions when we must speak is when we need help or when we have to give help. That's the only two conditions where we must speak. And what must we speak? We must only speak that Krishna again mentions in Bhagavad Gita how we should speak. So beautiful. He says 4 rules. Satyam, we must speak the truth. Hitam, we must speak for the welfare of that person. Third, Priyam, we must speak in a very, very beautiful, polite, sweet manner. And anudvegam, we should not cause any anxiety to that person whom we are speaking. When you speak, and you see in Bhagavad Gita, that's why you see in Bhagavad Gita, so beautiful, that Krishna did the 4 things of speech. Satyam, he spoke the truth. Of course he spoke the truth. Hitam, was it for the welfare of Krishna? For Arjuna? Yes, it was for the welfare. Okay. And Anudvegam, did he agitate Arjun? No. Why? Because at the end of Bhagavad Gita, what is Arjun's state? He was shivering before out of misery and fear. Now he's shivering back with ecstasy. Karishya vachanam tava. Tell me, Krishna, what do you want me to do? I shall fight. And the 4th thing he does is Priyam. He speaks very sweetly. This absolute truth he speaks very. How do we know Krishna speaks very sweetly? In Bhagavad Gita. We can't hear him, so how do we know that Krishna was speaking very sweetly to Arjuna? Smiling, yes. Actually, the words that Krishna uses the word Priyosimi. You are very dear to me. Oh Madhusudana. Oh Budakesha. He uses many, many words. Oh Pritha. He uses such sweet words to address Arjun, to show his sweetness, these 4 ways. If we have to speak, we have to speak in this way. Otherwise, silence is golden, which was the theme of our today's discussion. And this silence of Arjun has resulted, if Arjun didn't keep quiet here, what would have happened? We wouldn't get Bhagavad Gita. We would get Arjun Gita. So silence is golden. We must choose to be silent in various situations, especially silencing our mind of opinions. And once we silence our mind, then whatever will come out of our mouth will be absolutely, we can conquer the world. It is said, one who has conquered his tongue can conquer the world. And one who has not conquered his tongue will lose all the worlds. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. I hope I'm on time. Any questions? Anybody? Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, in a guru-disciple relationship, sometimes the guru has to be heavy, and the disciple needs chastisement.
What's your take on that? So Prabhuji's question is, sometimes Guru is very heavy and chastises the disciple. Then what is our opinion about that? Well, that is the job of a Guru. Actually, the word Guru means heavy. The word itself means heavy. So when you say, I have accepted so-and-so devotee as my Guru, please understand you have accepted a very heavy personality. Right? Now, what is the difference between Guru's chastisement and our chastisement? We also chastise. No? Sometimes what happens, I find somebody junior to me, I said, I am senior to you, I will chastise you. There is a difference. It is hitam. It is for our welfare. Like Prabhupada chastised his disciples very heavily. And if you ask these disciples in their memoirs of Prabhupada, they would write, oh, I just was chastised by Prabhupada so beautifully. It is a source of happiness for them. Why? Because in that chastisement they saw Father's love. They saw love. It was chastisement, it was strong words which were dipped in love. And how do you know? Because Prabhupada Gurus are selfless. They don't desire anything for themselves. What will they desire for them? They have everything. They have Krishna with them. Right? So, of course, it doesn't mean that the Guru chastises only. But when the time is needed, it is for service. That chastisement is a seva. And a disciple who takes that chastisement as a gift of Guru will go deeper in the relationship with Guru. If the disciple becomes disgruntled, how can you talk like this to me? Then the relationship with Guru and disciple will remain shallow. So, when a Guru chastises, it has to be welcomed like a gift of Krishna. Even if you see, I didn't go to that part because I thought time is up. Krishna also chastises. And you know what? Krishna's chastisement? Not through words, through silence. Very interesting in Brahma Vimon Leela Prabhuji. When Brahmaji takes away all the children of Gopas of Vrindavan, and later on we find that Brahmaji realizes, oh my God, this is Krishna. He shows all these Gopa boys' forms coming out of him. He says, oh, I made a very big mistake. And Brahmaji starts offering prayers. And what does Krishna do? Remains silent. No, actually Krishna's remaining silent was chastisement for Brahmaji. He says, I am giving such wonderful prayers. In fact, those prayers we quote in our life. Why is Krishna silent? Because Krishna also chastised Indra by his silence. Indra was doing all the good. In fact, very interestingly, Prabhuji, Krishna, when he was giving this knowledge to Nanda Baba, he was telling all these stories to Nanda Baba. Nanda Baba, why are you worshipping Indra? You should worship Govardhan, this, that. Actually, very interestingly, Indradev tells Krishna is a more talkative boy. Keeps on chattering. But that same Krishna, when meets Indra, when Indra comes for forgiveness, Krishna doesn't speak. Actually, the trick is, Indradev was right. Krishna is an extremely talkative person. If you see Balramji, is quite silent. Throughout entire Krishna is very quite silent and very lovingly and silent. So Krishna is like talkative boy. But you know whom does he talk to? Only to those who are dear to him. If they are not, that's why Paramatma, Lord within our heart, remains silent if you are not devotee of Krishna. Anumanta, Drishta, I will just observe, I will be witness. But the day we become devotees, Paramatma becomes very talkative. He says, I don't do this, speak this. In fact, you have to stop the voice of Paramatma. Okay, Lord, 1 minute. I can't catch so much of what you're talking. Right? So coming back to your question is, even Krishna chastises. But what is the effect of that chastisement? When we chastise somebody out of ignorance, we demoralize and demotivate that person. But when a guru chastises, he uplifts and inspires the disciple. That's the difference. The same thing, the effect is different. So, what must we do? We must wait. When will that day come when my guru will chastise me? Because that is the opportunity to go deeper in our relationship with our guru. In fact, I always say, Krishna's chastisement, once my son had made a mistake. In his growing up years as a teenager, he made a mistake. And he felt very heavily chastised within his heart. He was feeling very guilty. And he came and told me, Papa, I don't want to become a devotee. Krishna chastised me. I said, why? Oh, he chastised me. I said, wow, that's great news. Imagine a day when Krishna doesn't speak to you. If Krishna is chastising you, it means your relationship with Krishna is intact. Because only when there is love, there is chastisement. Similarly, only when there is love in our heart. Satyam is chastisement. But how is Satyam dispensed? Hitam, Priyam, Anupriyam. It doesn't agitate. Tell me one Prabhupada disciple who got agitated by Prabhupada's chastisement. No, it's a source of their ecstasy. So I humbly try to answer that. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Any other questions? Don't be silent. The class was in silence is golden, but you can ask. Yes, Gauri.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Good afternoon. So, about Krishna's chastisement to someone, I remember some part of the Mahabharata when Gandhari is about to give Duryodhana the power of invincibility. So, I remember that scene when Duryodhana will go to Gandhari's tent, and then Krishna came out from Gandhari's tent, and they face off, they met, and then Krishna chastises Duryodhana. Why are you naked? You're not wearing anything. You will confront your mother and you're not wearing anything. At least wear something for your loins. So good example of chastisement. That's all from me.
Actually, yeah, Krishna is very mysterious. So his silence also has many colors, and his speech also has many colors. Thank you. Thank you, bro, for adding that. Any other questions? Anybody? Or you can in now? Indrawali Madhu, you can in now. Any questions? I see many questions, but the hands are becoming very heavy.
From the ladies, before naman the ladies.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Like sometimes we want to tell the truth, but we will just think how the person receive it, right? So how to make our truth be palatable to them?
First is hear them. I think the biggest mistake we do is when you tell somebody something, we are too quick to tell. Right? So you must understand. I was talking to a mother of a teenager. She was saying, I say it in Hindi and then I'll translate it. Samajhti nahi hai, samajhti nahi hai, samajhti nahi hai. She doesn't understand, And I told her, it's not the time for she to understand, it's the time for you to understand. So I think the first thing is to understand, you must understand her. What is the reason? Right? And that happens by hearing. And then we must take permission before giving it here. So, is it okay if I tell you something? You prepare her. You just don't blurt it out like, nonsense. You choose. Actually, after that, you choose your words. Every word is like a diamond. You don't throw the diamonds like this, right? You choose every word and give one diamond. Then they appreciate. Make sense?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. That's what you want to ask me.
Prabhu, about the tongue, how powerful it is. There's an example also from the Bible that the tongue is like a sword, it cuts through.
Yeah, very true. In fact, one of the most beautiful stories of the Bible is once there was Jesus Christ, there was a little girl, 12-year-old girl who died. And all of the family members were crying. Right? And at that point of time, Jesus Christ passes and says, what happened? What happened here? So there's a 12-year-old girl who has died. And at that time, Jesus Christ said, she has not died. She's asleep. At that point of time, everybody, it is mentioned in Bible, everybody laughed at Jesus Christ to scorn. But they laugh at Jesus Christ to the point of scorning Jesus Christ. They can't say, what nonsense, she's dead and you're saying she's just sleeping. They all laugh in a very scornful way. And Jesus Christ goes there and touches the little baby and revives her, brings her back from dead. A very interesting thing that happens in that Bible at that point in time. If you and I were in that position, what would we do? We would go back and say, I proved to you, isn't it? We would go back that way. Yeah, we would do that. We would go to the laughing people and say, see, I proved myself. What I was saying was right. It is mentioned in the Bible, Jesus Christ walks out of the back door without saying a word. He remains silent. He lets the situation teach, not his words. So that's true. Thank you so much for reminding me of this very beautiful example. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.
His Grace Sachitanuja Prabhu ki jai.